They are calling it the next Dubai of Africa. But Dubai had oil beneath its sand and foreign neighbor pouring in to build on top of it. Burkina Faso has neither. No oil wealth, the kind that build glittering cities elsewhere. No imported workforce laying the foundation. And that contradiction, that is exactly where this story actually begins. Because by every conventional measure, what is happening in Burkina Faso right now shouldn't be happening at all. Ibrahim Traoré leading with ambitious mega projects inside Burkina Faso's infrastructural beds. If you're new here, my name is Michael Chubuzo. I cover mega projects that are happening in Africa that are not well reported by the Western media. So make sure you click that subscribe button and like the video. Let's continue. In September 2022, a 34-year-old army captain named Ibrahim Traoré seized power in a military coup. The international response was swift, sanctions followed, so did diplomatic isolation. Burkina Faso, alongside Mali and Niger, walked away from ECOWAS, the regional bloc that had anchored West African Economic Cooperation for decades. No World Bank pipeline, no IMF program propping up the budgets. And underneath all of it, a war that hasn't stopped, an Islamist insurgency that has claimed thousands of lives and still holds territory across parts of the country till date. This is not the profile of a country that builds highways. And yet, on December 16, 2025, in a small town called Yimdi, just outside of Ouagadougou, Captain Ibrahim Traoré officially launched construction of a 332-kilometer expressway connecting the capital to Bobo-Dioulasso, the country's second largest city. 8 lanes wide in places, dozens of interchanges. A project that on paper belongs to a country with money to spare, not one locked out of international credit markets. So where is the money actually coming from? Who is actually building it? And what does it mean that a government cut off from the usual machinery of African infrastructure financing, we are referring to the loans, the foreign contractors, the development banks, is building anyway? That is not a footnote to this story, that is the main story. Standing at the launch site in Yimdi, Traoré didn't frame this as a routine public works project. He described it as a proof of a different way of operating, a country financing its own future without waiting on anyone else's approval, anyone else's loan terms, anyone else's timeline. The budget he made clear wasn't a final number. It was a floor. More would follow year over year for as long as the project required it. What he called simply a minimum envelope to kickstart construction. Because everything that follows, the roads, the ring roads, the corridors stretching towards Mali and Niger, only makes sense once you understand the answer to that first question. And the answer has very little to do with Dubai and everything to do with a bet Burkina Faso is making on itself. So who is actually paying for 332 kilometers of expressway? Not a foreign bank, not a multilateral lender. Burkina Faso's government says it is using locally generated funds to finance the construction. And the mechanism behind the claim has a name: Faso neighbor. The phrase combines words from Moi and Douala, two of Burkina Faso's national languages, and translates literally to build the country. It isn't a slogan. Citizens are encouraged to contribute in cash, in kind, or through volunteer labor towards national infrastructure projects. Ordinary people, quite literally, funding the roads they will eventually drive on. Backing that up is a real state budget line, nearly 200 billion CFA francs, roughly 357 million US dollars, has been earmarked for the highway in the 2026 national budget alone, and Traoré has been precise about what that figure represents. It is not the final cost, it is the floor. He described it as the instruction to, quote, to foresee for 2026 a minimum of 200 billion. More will follow year over year as the project advances. This isn't being built by an army of subcontractors flown in from abroad. It's being built in large part by the Burkina Faso army itself. In December 2025, Traoré personally handed over more than 200 pieces of heavy machinery. Bulldozers, asphalt finishers, compactors, graders, split between the Fasonibo initiative and the country's military engineering corps, the Génie Militaire. The man receiving the keys on behalf of the program promised to put them to work, quote, with speed and ingenuity. Months later, hundreds of newly trained recruits graduated specifically to staff these infrastructure brigades. Soldiers prepared for security threats in the field, then deployed not to fight, but to build. Put those two pieces together and the picture sharpens. Burkina Faso is a country funding its own roads through its own citizens' wallets and building them with its own uniforms. No foreign loan conditions, no foreign labor contracts. Just a state betting that sovereignty and self-financing aren't separate goals. They are the same project wearing two different faces. That bet is now stretching across the map. From Ouagadougou's new ring roads to the corridors reaching towards Bobo-Dioulasso, Banfora, and the western trade routes. This is what a national building itself, literally by hand, actually looks like. Now, let's simplify the accounting. As of January 2026, the Highways General Supervisor reported that the 332 kilometers planned, 232 kilometers had already been cleared. Vegetation stripped, the right-of-way opened, crews working day and night. That is real progress. But clearing land isn't the same as paving it. The full corridor isn't expected to carry traffic until 2027. This is a project in motion, not a project finished. And the distinction matters if you actually want to understand what is happening here rather than just be impressed by it. And the roads aren't just appearing in a vacuum. This is still a government that has dissolved political parties, suspended independent broadcasters, and pushed elections back to 2029. Critics have raised exactly that contradiction. U.S. African Commander General Michael Langley has accused the junta of using national resources for, quote, political motives rather than general welfare. It is a fair question to sit with. Infrastructure built quickly under a government that has narrowed who gets to ask how it's spent. On the ground, the calculation looks less abstract. A mining community is affected by the same resource nationalist push funding much of this development. One local leader put this tension plainly, that the wealth should stay home, but that the people also need jobs and safety. Roads alone don't deliver either. Not while an insurgency still holds grounds in parts of Burkina Faso. So, is Burkina Faso the Dubai of Africa? Well, there's a potential, but not yet. Dubai built upwards on oil money and imported labor, chasing spectacle. Burkina Faso is building outward, corridor by corridor, financed by its own citizens, paved by its own soldiers, under wartime conditions Dubai never had to consider. It is not a copy of anyone's model. It is something more specific, a state trying to prove that sovereignty and self-financing can be the same acts, and that the roads do not stop at the border. Quietly, the new corridors out of Ouagadougou increasingly point toward Bamako and Niamey. Mali and Niger, Burkina Faso's partners in the alliance of Sahel states. No government has announced a single connected highway. Nobody has confirmed a master plan. But infrastructure has a way of revealing intentions the government haven't said out loud yet. Burkina Faso isn't building the next Dubai in Africa. It is building the evidence for its own arguments. That a nation under sanction, under siege, and largely on its own can still lay down the roads ahead of itself.